Hello, my name is Muhammad Samaan Ibn Labib and my University of Hertfordshire ID number is id-25015227 and here's my ID card. Today I will be advising Sulaiman on his rights and remedies regarding the furniture he purchased from Amzad Furniture Store, applying the UK Sale of Goods Act 1979. We will examine what went wrong with the purchase and the legal steps he can take. First, it's important to understand what type of contract Sulaiman has entered into. Sulaiman owns a restaurant and brought furniture for use in his business. Therefore, this is a business-to-business sale. As a B2B sale, Sulaiman's rights and remedies will be governed by the Sale of Goods Act 1979. The Sale of Goods Act automatically builds some key promises into every business-to-business contract for the sale of goods. These are there to protect buyers and make sure deals are fair. In short, the law ensures that the goods sold in B2B deal are as described, work properly, suits the buyer's purpose, and also delivered in right amount. Next, we will look at the breaches under the Sale of Goods Act 1979. After examining the scenario, we can see that Sulaiman ordered 25 extra large grey marble tables, but received only 10 medium-sized marble tables, 9 wooden tables, and 1 extra large marble tables. This clearly both the wrong quantity and description. We can see this constitutes a breach of section 13 of the Sale of Goods Act, as the good did not correspond with their description. Moreover, according to the section 30 of the Sale of Goods Act, Sulaiman does not have to accept this because the seller failed to deliver the accurate quantity of goods. He can reject them. Also, if we follow the legal principle of Arcos Limited case, the court held that good must correspond exactly with their description. Failure to do so entitles the buyer to reject them. So here, Sulaiman is fully within his rights to reject the delivery, request the correct goods, or a refund. Next, we will look at the issue of chair. We can see Sulaiman received chairs that were described as ex-display but in good condition except minor wear and tear. Yet they arrived with greasemark and scratches. According to the section 14 subsection 2 of the Sale of Goods Act, even though they were ex-display, the seller still had a duty to ensure that they were of satisfactory quality, which means they needed to be in a condition that a reasonable buyer would expect. This is supported by the legal principle of a case named Worley vs. Sweep, which confirmed that goods must meet the reasonable standard expected from their description. Also, if we see the case named Bernstein vs. Pamson Motor case, the court found that good must meet the standard a reasonable person expect. It may also claim that greasemark and scratches do not go beyond the minor wear and tear. But as a restaurant owner, Sulaiman could reasonably expect the chairs to be clean and usable, even though they were ex-display. Greasemark and scratches cannot be expected under such circumstances. Apart from the quality of the chair, Sulaiman also faced another issue. Sulaiman also asked whether the leather sofa would irritate the customers with skin condition, and the seller assured that it would not. But later, the sofa caused an allergic reaction, and it clearly failed the fitness for purpose test under section 14 subsection 3 of the Act, because Sulaiman relied on the seller's advice about the sofa. This principle was supported by in the case named BSS Group PLC vs. Makers, which confirmed that seller must ensure that the goods are suitable for the specific purpose that the buyer had explained. So, Sulaiman is therefore entitled to reject the sofa and claim damages for any harm or loss caused by the delivered sofa. This principle was highlighted in a case named Grant vs. Australian Knitting Mills, where the buyer suffered skin irritation due to manufacturing default. The court held that the good causing personal injury because they are unsuitable for their purpose, which means breach the implied condition of fitness. Having identified the three breaches, we can now consider the remedies Sulaiman is entitled to under the Sale of Goods Act 1979. When Sulaiman opened one of the boxes of chair, he immediately noticed the defects. This was the right thing to do to check the goods straight away and act quickly. Under the Section 35, subsection 4 of the Sale of Goods Act, a buyer must reject the fully faulty and incorrect goods within a reasonable time after discovering the problems. If Sulaiman delays or continues to use the items, he might be seen as having accepted them and could mean losing the right to reject. Since Sulaiman discovered the issues early, he can still exercise his right to reject the wrong and defective goods under Section 35. This means he can return them and refuse to pay for any items that don't meet the contract terms. Alternatively, if he decides to keep some goods, he may rely on Section 35A of the Sale of Goods Act 1979, which allows partial rejection. For the defective items, he chooses to retain his remedy if he chooses to retain, his remedy would be claim damages under Section 53, which compensates him for the actual losses in value for profit caused by the breach. If I quantify the damages for the tables because of the big short of delivery and wrong substitution, damage could be around 60 to 70% of their price. For the chairs, the grease mark and scratches could reduce their value, so around 10 to 15% would be reasonable. And for the sofa, since it caused an allergic reaction and failed its purpose, Sulaiman could claim 100% of its price back. These percentages reflect the reasonable estimates of the diminished value caused by each breach, though these things depend on the discretion of courts. The famous case Hadley-Baxendale established that damages should cover losses that were reasonably foreseeable when the contract was made. Similarly, in Victoria Laundry vs. Newman Industry case, the court confirmed that even though consequential losses such as lost profits can be recovered if both parties could have expected them. And we can reasonably foresee this kind of damages because the wrong table cannot allocate the estimated customer, and chair with greasework and scrubs can dissatisfy customers, which can defame his restaurant. Additionally, the problematic sofa, which caused her daughter skin irritation and medical expenses, can also be included. So legally and practically, Sulaiman may claim this type of fair compensation. In conclusion, under the Sale of Goods Act 1979, Sulaiman has strong rights to reject defective or misdescribed goods promptly or pursue damages if he accepts goods. He should notify Amzad Furniture Store in writing immediately, reject the wrong goods and defective products, and request replacement or refund. If the seller refuses to resolve this issue, Sulaiman should consider pursuing legal remedies to protect his interest. Overall, this case shows how the Sale of Goods Act safeguards business buyers like Sulaiman by ensuring fairness and accountability in commercial transactions. Thank you for watching, and I hope this advice helps Sulaiman understand his rights under the Sale of Goods Act 1979.